Oh, at 4:57 a.m. The world's attention snapped to East Asia. Reports started flooding in. North Korea had launched a missile, and it flew directly over Japan. Alarms blared, alerts were triggered, and a wave of concerns spread across the region. In today's video, we're going to break down exactly what happened, what's been officially confirmed, and how the United States Navy and its allies are trained to respond in these situations. But we're doing it without the hype, without the fear-mongering, and with a clear focus on the facts and the context you need to understand the bigger picture. We'll explain why these launches happen in the first place, how sophisticated early warning systems actually work, and what Japan's immediate response protocols look like. We'll also dive into why international waters and airspace are so critical under global law, and how they factor into these events. You'll learn how U.S. Navy deployments, joint military drills, and deterrence strategies are carefully designed to signal readiness, not to escalate a crisis. This will help you understand why headlines often sound incredibly dramatic, even when the on-the-ground response is measured, strategic, and calm. As we move forward, we'll place this single event within the much broader context of North Korea's long-term missile program, the delicate security balance in the Indo-Pacific, the vital US-Japan alliance, and the ongoing, often quiet, diplomatic efforts happening behind the scenes. Our goal is to help you understand not just what happened at 4:57 in the morning, but why it matters, what it doesn't mean, and how incidents like this can ripple out to affect everything from global markets and travel advisories to international politics. So, let's start with the launch itself. What exactly was launched? North Korea possesses a range of missile types, from short-range tactical weapons to intermediate and intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs. Based on the flight path and altitude, experts quickly analyze the data to determine the missile's capabilities. Was it designed to test a new engine, a re-entry vehicle, or simply to send a political message? Official confirmations from governments like Japan, South Korea, and the United States are crucial here. They use a network of satellites, ground-based radar, naval assets like Aegis-equipped destroyers to track the object from launch to splashdown. These systems are incredibly advanced. From the moment a launch is detected, data is shared in real time between allies. This is why you see alerts go out so quickly. In Japan, the J-alert system is designed to warn citizens to take cover. While a missile flying high overhead in space poses no direct threat, the system is activated as a precaution in case of a failure, where debris could fall to the ground. This is a standard procedure, not necessarily a sign of impending impact. So, why does North Korea do this? There are several reasons, and they're often intertwined. First, it's about technology. Each launch is a field test, providing valuable data to their scientists and engineers to improve their missile systems, reliability, and range. Second, it's a powerful political statement. These launches often coincide with major joint military exercises between the US and South Korea, which Pyongyang views as a rehearsal for an invasion. A launch is their way of showing defiance and protesting these drills. It's also a way to grab international attention, forcing its nuclear program onto the global agenda and potentially creating leverage for future negotiations. They want to be seen as a serious military power that cannot be ignored. Now, let's talk about the response. Specifically, the role of the US Navy. When an event like this happens, you'll often hear about US Navy ships being deployed in the Sea of Japan. These aren't just random movements. They are part of a well-rehearsed strategy. Aegis-class destroyers and cruisers are floating missile defense platforms. Their powerful radars can track ballistic missiles. In theory, their SM-3 interceptors could shoot one down. However, their primary role in these scenarios is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or ISR. They gather crucial data on the missile's trajectory and performance. Following a launch, the US, Japan, and South Korea often conduct joint military drills. You might see fighter jets flying in formation or naval ships conducting exercises. This isn't preparation for an immediate conflict. It's a demonstration of alliance solidarity and readiness. It sends a clear, non-verbal message back to North Korea. We are united, we are watching, and we are prepared. This is what's known as deterrence, showing strength to prevent an adversary from taking hostile action. The goal is to manage the situation and de-escalate tensions, not to provoke a fight. Headlines might scream war games, but the military term is deterrence signaling. It's also important to understand the geography and international law. The missile flew over Japan, but it did so at an altitude that put it in outer space, ZADA. Under international law, a nation's sovereign airspace doesn't extend indefinitely upwards. While a violation of national airspace at low altitude would be a major act of aggression, a satellite or a missile on a ballistic trajectory through space is a grayer area. However, the act of launching an unannounced ballistic missile over another country is a clear violation of UN Security Council resolutions, which is why it draws immediate international condemnation. The splashdown zone is also critical. North Korea is usually careful to have its missiles land in international waters, avoiding a direct strike on any nation's territory, which would be an undeniable act of war. So, how does all this impact the average person? Immediately after the launch, you likely saw news about the stock market. Asian markets, particularly in South Korea and Japan, often see a brief dip due to uncertainty. This is usually temporary, as investors assess the situation. You might also see travel advisories updated. Jet 2. Governments will advise their citizens to exercise caution. But it's rare for flights to be cancelled unless there's a specific, direct threat to aviation routes. The biggest impact is political. The launch triggers a flurry of diplomatic activity. The UN Security Council might convene an emergency meeting. Leaders from the US, Japan, South Korea, and other regional powers will confer, reaffirming their security commitments and coordinating their response. This is where sanctions and other diplomatic pressures are discussed. And now, let's address some of the common questions people are searching for right now. Is Japan safe? Yes, Japan has one of the most advanced missile defense systems in the world, layered with both its own assets and those of the United States. Its civil defense protocols are also robust. Could this lead to war? While any provocation carries risk, the response from all sides is typically designed to prevent escalation. The US and its allies pursue a strategy of deterrence and diplomacy, not preemptive conflict. The primary goal is stability. What happens next? Experts generally predict a cycle. After the launch and the condemnations, there will be a period of analysis. North Korea might follow up with more tests, or it might enter a quiet period. Diplomats will work behind the scenes to open channels for communication, seeking a way to bring Pyongyang back to the negotiating table. It's crucial to separate verified information from speculation. You'll see a lot of sensational headlines and YouTube thumbnails with explosions and dramatic warnings, too. But the reality is that these events are handled by professionals who have trained for these exact scenarios for decades. The response is calculated and strategic. What experts are saying now is that we should watch for North Korea's next move. Will they issue a statement through their state media, KCNA, explaining the launch's purpose? Will they attempt another type of launch, perhaps a satellite, which uses similar technology? Or will they signal a willingness to talk? The answers to these questions will shape the international response in the coming weeks and months. 2. Recap. The 4:57 a.m. missile launch was a significant event. A deliberate act of political and military signaling by North Korea. It tested the readiness of early warning systems and triggered a pre-planned response from the US. Japan and South Korea focused on deterrence and information gathering. It was a violation of UN resolutions, but was also carefully managed by North Korea to avoid a direct military confrontation. The international community's response is focused on diplomacy, sanctions, and alliance solidarity. Understanding this context is key to cutting through the noise. It helps you see that while the situation is serious, it's also part of a long-running, complex geopolitical dynamic. It's a pattern of provocation and response that has been playing out for years. Thank you for joining us for this calm, fact-based analysis. Our goal is to empower you with information, not to scare you. If you found this breakdown helpful, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more in-depth explanations of major world events. Stay informed and stay safe.